You fear being alone because you haven't met yourself yet. You're scared of silence because you've been running from the voice inside that knows the truth about where you are and where you were supposed to be. You fill every empty moment with noise, with people, with scrolling, with anything that keeps you from facing the mirror, because deep down you know something is off. You know you've been living someone else's version of your life. You know you've been performing instead of becoming. Let me tell you what nobody wants to say out loud. You're exhausted because you've been watering everyone else's garden while your own soil cracks beneath your feet. You're tired because you've been carrying opinions that were never meant for your shoulders. You wake up every day with a weight you can't name and you smile through it because you think that's what strong people do. But strength isn't pretending. Strength is standing in your truth. Even when it isolates you from the crowd, you feel lonely even in rooms full of people, because loneliness isn't about being alone. It's about being unknown. It's about showing up every day as a version of yourself that gets applause but never gets seen. You've edited yourself so many times for so many audiences that you forgot what the original looked like, and now you're surrounded by connections that feel like static noise pretending to be music. Here's what breaks you first. The moment you realize that everything you've been chasing was designed to keep you busy, not fulfilled. The career that looked golden from a distance but feels hollow up close. The relationship you fought to keep that was slowly erasing you. The approval you worked so hard to earn from people who don't even know your real name. Life breaks you when you finally see that you've been climbing a ladder leaned against the wrong wall, and that breaking, that's not your end. That's your beginning. Because there are things you only learn when life shatters the illusion. There are truths that only reveal themselves in the rubble. And if you're in that place right now, if you're in the middle of the mess, let me tell you what's actually happening. You're not falling apart, you're falling into place. The first thing you learn when life breaks you is this: you were never supposed to fit in. You spent years trying to squeeze into spaces that were too small for your spirit, wondering why you felt suffocated. You looked at yourself as the problem. You thought something was wrong with you because you couldn't be comfortable in rooms that celebrated shallow things. But a lion doesn't belong in a cage, even if the cage is decorated. And you were built for open fields. You were designed for a specific territory that only you can rule, but you'll never find it by imitating sheep. The world taught you to blend, to be agreeable, to not make waves, to dim your light so others feel comfortable in their darkness. But your Creator didn't whisper your name in the hidden place just so you could echo someone else's voice. You have a sound that only you can make, and every day you spend mimicking others is a day that sound goes unheard. Every day you spend performing is a day your purpose stays buried. You've been taught that ambition is selfish, that wanting more is greedy, that standing out is prideful. So you shrunk, you made yourself smaller, you apologized for your gifts, you hid your hunger, you played small so others wouldn't feel threatened. But playing small doesn't serve the world, it robs the world. Because there's something inside you that the world needs. And every day you suppress, it is a day someone else stays in darkness who could have been set free by your light. You know what's interesting? You sacrifice your truth to keep people comfortable, but they won't sacrifice their comfort to celebrate your truth. You'll dim your light to make them feel better about their darkness, but they won't turn on their light to walk with you. You'll edit your dreams to fit their limitations, but they won't expand their limitations to support your dreams. You've been loyal to people who are only loyal to the version of you that serves them. And that's the second thing you learn. Purpose doesn't announce itself on a stage. It grows in the dark. A seed doesn't apologize for being underground. It doesn't panic in the soil. It understands that darkness isn't punishment, it's preparation. Every single thing that will one day feed the world starts buried, hidden, alone. The roots go deep before the fruit goes high. And you, right now, in this season, where nothing makes sense and nobody sees you, you're not forgotten. You're germinating. You're in the place where transformation happens. And transformation never looks pretty from the outside. It looks like isolation. It looks like loss. it looks like everything you built is being stripped away. But what's really happening is this: everything that wasn't built by your true identity is being removed. So the real you has room to emerge. The pressure you are under isn't trying to destroy you, it's trying to reveal you. Think about pottery. Clay doesn't become art by being comfortable. It's pressed, stretched, shaped, and then burned in fire at temperatures it never chose. The potter doesn't hate the clay. The potter sees the vessel it's meant to become. And every uncomfortable moment, every season of heat, every turn on the wheel that feels disorienting, it's all part of the design. You're not being punished, you're being perfected. But here's where most people miss it. They resist the process because they judge it by how it feels instead of where it leads. They look at their isolation and call it rejection. They look at their struggle and call it failure. They look at the closed doors and assume they're lost. But what if those closed doors weren't rejection? What if they were redirection? What if the very thing you thought was keeping you from your life was actually protecting you from a life that was never yours to live? Every no you received was protecting you from a yes that would have destroyed you. Every person who walked away was making room for the people who were supposed to walk with you. Every opportunity that fell through was clearing the path for the opportunity that has your name on it. You've been mourning losses that were actually deliverances. You've been grieving doors that closed to keep you from entering buildings that were about to collapse. The third thing you learn when life breaks you is the difference between activity and purpose. You can be busy and still be empty. You can be productive and still be lost. You can be surrounded by success and still feel like a stranger to yourself. Because activity is what you do. Purpose is why you exist. And most people spend their entire lives in motion without ever asking if they're moving toward anything real. You know what the enemy of your destiny is? It's not failure. It's not even opposition. It's good enough. It's the comfortable cage. It's the life that looks fine from the outside but drains you from the inside. It's the job that pays the bills but kills your spirit. It's the relationship that's not bad enough to leave but not good enough to grow you. Good becomes the enemy of right when you settle for what's acceptable instead of fighting for what's appointed. I've watched people climb mountains their entire lives only to reach the top and realize they climbed the wrong mountain. I've seen people achieve everything society told them to achieve and still feel empty because society doesn't know your assignment, culture doesn't know your calling, tradition doesn't know your truth. And if you build your life on their blueprints, you spend your days constructing someone else's dream while your own blueprint collects dust in your chest. Let me tell you a story. There was a craftsman who spent years making swords. His blades were fine. They were sharp enough, balanced enough, sold well enough. He was successful by every visible measure. But every night, he felt a whisper in his chest that said, this isn't it. One day, he stopped. He walked away from his shop, from his reputation, from his income. People called him crazy. They said he was throwing away a good life. But he went into the mountains alone, and he learned a different method. He studied with masters nobody knew. He failed 1,000 times in private. Years passed. When he returned, he made one sword, just one. And that single blade was so exceptional, so perfectly crafted, that it became legendary. It outlived him. It carried his name into history. The masses will never understand why you walk away from good enough to chase what your soul knows is true. They'll judge your process because they're not privy to your purpose. But you weren't put here to live by the approval of people who are too afraid to listen to their own voice. You were put here to answer a call that only you can hear. And that call will often lead you away from the crowd, away from comfort, into places that look like wilderness. The fourth thing you learn when life breaks you is this: the wilderness isn't punishment, it's preparation. Every giant in history spent time in the wilderness. Every prophet, every king, every world changer. There's a season where you're stripped of titles, stripped of support systems, stripped of everything you leaned on that wasn't your true foundation. And in that stripping, you discover what you're made of. You discover that your strength wasn't in what you had, it was in who you are. Isolation exposes imitation. When there's no crowd to perform for, you stop pretending. When there's no applause to chase, you stop dancing to rhythms that aren't yours. The wilderness forces you to sit with yourself, to hear your own thoughts, to confront your own fears, and to finally meet the person you were created to be before the world told you who to become. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's lonely. But forests don't grow in crowded spaces. Trees that stand together never develop deep roots because they lean on each other. But a tree that stands alone in the open field, it has to send its roots deep. It has to become strong enough to withstand every storm by itself. And that tree, that solitary tree, becomes a landmark. It becomes the one people travel to see. It becomes the one that provides shade for generations. Your roots are going deeper than you realize. In this season of isolation, in this season of silence, you're not being abandoned. You're being anchored. You're being grounded in something so strong that when the storms come, and they will come, you won't be moved. When the winds blow, and they will blow, you won't be uprooted. When the masses sway, and they will sway, you'll stand firm. Because your foundation isn't built on public opinion. It's built on personal conviction. You grow in silence. You heal in silence. You rise in silence. The noise of the crowd will celebrate you, but it won't develop you. The cheers of the masses will validate you, but they won't transform you. Transformation happens in the quiet, in the early mornings when nobody's watching, in the late nights when you're wrestling with who you've been and who you're becoming, in the moments where it's just you and the truth, with no audience to impress and no escape from the mirror. Before I continue, answer one question honestly. When was the last time you sat in complete silence and felt at peace with just yourself? Not distracted, not numbed, just present. If you can't remember, then you've been running. And whatever you're running from is the very thing you need to face to be free. If you're still listening, something inside you is waking up. Something inside you recognizes that this message isn't random. It found you because you were ready. You were ready to stop pretending. You were ready to stop performing. You were ready to step into the life you were designed for, even if it costs you the life you've been comfortable in. The fifth thing you learn when life breaks you is that your pain has a purpose. Every wound you've carried, every betrayal that cut you, every moment you cried alone, it wasn't wasted, it was preparation. The depth of your pain will match the depth of your purpose. People who are called to heal others must first know what it feels like to bleed. People who are called to lead others out of darkness must first navigate their own night. Your story isn't pretty, but it's powerful. And the very chapters you want to rip out are the ones someone else needs to read to believe they can make it through theirs. You've been ashamed of your scars. You've hidden your struggles because you thought they disqualified you. But what if those scars are your credentials? What if the very thing you survived is the very thing you're anointed to speak about? You can't comfort others with comfort you've never needed. You can't lead people through battles you've never fought. Your mess is your message. Your test is your testimony. And the moment you stop hiding it is the moment it becomes your greatest weapon. Every tear you cried in secret is being stored. Every prayer you whispered in desperation is being answered. Every moment you wanted to give up but didn't is being counted. Nothing is wasted. Not the rejection that broke your heart. Not the betrayal that shattered your trust. Not the failure that crushed your confidence. Not the loss that left you hollow. All of it, every single piece of it, is being woven into a tapestry that will tell a story of resilience, of redemption, of resurrection. But you have to stop seeing yourself as a victim. You have to stop rehearsing the story of what happened to you and start declaring the story of what you're becoming because of it. You're not defined by what broke you. You're defined by how you rebuilt. You're not identified by the wounds you carry. You're identified by the wisdom you gained from them. You are not remembered for how you fell. You're remembered for how you rose. Let me tell you another story. There was a young lion cub born into captivity. He grew up in a cage, fed by handlers, watched by crowds. He was safe. He was comfortable. But something inside him felt wrong. One day, the cage door was left open. The handlers expected him to stay. Why would he leave? He had food, shelter, security. But the lion walked out. He walked into a jungle he'd never seen, with skills he'd never used, and for the first time in his life, he was terrified. He didn't know how to hunt. He didn't know how to survive. He stumbled, failed, went hungry. The other animals mocked him. "You're not a real lion," they said. "Go back to your cage." But he didn't. He learned. He watched. He practiced. He failed 1,000 times. And slowly, the instinct that was always inside him began to awaken. He remembered who he was. Not because someone told him, but because adversity revealed him. Years later, that same lion became the king of that jungle. Not because he was born into it, but because he chose it. Because he walked out of comfort into purpose, because he was willing to struggle into his identity instead of staying safe in his cage. You are that lion. And the cage you're in, it's open. The door's been unlocked this whole time, but you've been too afraid to walk out because the jungle looks uncertain. You've been too comfortable with the predictable, even though it's killing you slowly. But comfort is a slow death. Security without purpose is just a decorated prison. And every day you stay in a space you've outgrown is a day you betray the roar inside you. I know you're afraid. I know the unknown feels dangerous. I know leaving what's familiar feels like losing everything. But let me ask you something. What's the cost of staying? What's the price of playing it safe? What does it cost you to wake up every day and betray your potential? What does it cost you to go to bed every night knowing you didn't honor the voice inside that's begging you to be brave? Because here's the truth. The risk of staying is greater than the risk of leaving. Staying in the wrong place will cost you your peace, your passion, your purpose, your very soul. Leaving might cost you comfort, approval, security, but those are temporary losses. What you gain is permanent. What you gain is yourself. And nothing, absolutely nothing, is worth losing yourself for. The sixth thing you learn when life breaks you is that you can't take everyone with you. This is the hardest lesson. You want to, you try to, you pull, you push, you explain, you wait. But some people are called to different journeys. Some people are meant to stay where you're meant to leave. And if you keep trying to drag them into your destiny, you'll miss it. You'll spend so much energy trying to convince them of your vision that you'll never walk into it yourself. Letting go doesn't mean you love them less. It means you honor your path more. It means you understand that everyone you've met isn't meant for every season. Some people are in your life for a reason, some for a season, very few for a lifetime. And trying to force a seasonal person into a lifetime position will drain you both. Release them with love. Bless them from a distance and keep walking. Your loyalty is to your purpose, not to people's comfort with who you used to be. You've been feeling guilty for outgrowing people. You've been apologizing for evolving. You've been shrinking back into old versions of yourself just to keep relationships that were built on who you're no longer willing to be. But you can't grow and stay the same. You can't transform and keep everyone comfortable. Growth requires shedding. Evolution requires releasing. And every time you try to hold on to what you've outgrown, you stunt what you're becoming. Some people love the version of you that needed them. They loved the version of you that was broken enough to make them feel useful. They loved the version of you that was small enough to make them feel significant. But now you're healing. Now you're growing. Now you're standing. And suddenly they're uncomfortable. Suddenly they're critical. Suddenly they're distant. Not because you've changed in a bad way, but because your growth is exposing their stagnation. Your courage is convicting their comfort. Your movement is highlighting their fear. Let me tell you something that will set you free. Not everyone who was in your chapter 1 is supposed to be in your chapter 10. Not everyone who celebrated your start is equipped to handle your success. Not everyone who knew you broken is ready to see you whole. And that's okay. Their discomfort with your growth is not your problem. Their inability to evolve with you is not your responsibility. Your job is not to shrink so they feel tall. Your job is to rise and see who rises with you. There will be people who say, you've changed. And your answer should be, thank God. Because if you haven't changed, you haven't grown. If you're the same person you were 5 years ago, you've been stagnant. Change is evidence of life. Stagnation is evidence of death. And you are too alive to stay stuck in who you used to be just to accommodate people who are too afraid to grow. But here's what makes this painful. Sometimes the people you have to release are the people you love most. Sometimes it's family. Sometimes it's lifelong friends. Sometimes it's the person you thought you'd build a future with. And letting go feels like betrayal. It feels like abandonment. It feels wrong. But staying when you're called to go is the real betrayal. Staying is betraying yourself. Staying is abandoning your purpose. Staying is choosing their comfort over your calling. And I'm not saying be cruel. I'm not saying burn bridges. I'm saying honor the season for what it was and have the courage to close the chapter when it's over. You can love someone and still let them go. You can be grateful for what they brought to your life and still acknowledge they're not meant for where you're going. You can wish them well and still walk away. That's not cold. That's mature. That's wisdom. That's self-preservation. The seventh thing you learn when life breaks you is this: you were never broken. You were breaking open like a seed that splits to release life. Like a cocoon that tears so wings can emerge. Like a shell that cracks so the bird can fly. Everything you thought was falling apart was actually falling into place. Every loss was making room. Every ending was a beginning in disguise. Every moment you thought you were dying, you were actually being born. And now, here you are, standing in the wreckage of who you used to be, finally ready to build who you were meant to become. The old you couldn't carry what's coming. The old you didn't have the capacity for the doors that are about to open. The old you was too small for the territory you're about to take. So life broke that version, not to destroy you, but to upgrade you. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a product of your decisions. And today, right now, you have a choice. You can stay in the familiar. You can rebuild the cage. You can go back to the noise and the performance and the life that looks good but feels empty, or you can walk into the unknown. You can embrace the wilderness. You can choose the narrow path that leads to your real life, even if you have to walk it alone for a season. Let me paint you a picture of what's waiting for you on the other side of this breaking. A version of you that doesn't need validation because you're rooted in your identity. A version of you that doesn't fear solitude because you've learned to be whole by yourself. A version of you that doesn't chase purpose because purpose flows from you naturally. A version of you that doesn't perform for applause because you're secure in your calling. A version of you that doesn't shrink to make others comfortable because you understand that your fullness gives others permission to expand. You're going to walk into rooms and shift atmospheres just by being present, not because you're trying, but because you've done the inner work. You're going to speak and people will feel something awaken in them, not because your words are perfect, but because your words come from a place of tested truth. You're going to live in a peace that doesn't make sense to people who are still at war with themselves, and they'll ask you how, and you'll tell them about the breaking, about the wilderness, about the silence, about the season you thought was your end, but was actually your beginning. Your life is about to become a testimony, not of perfection, but of transformation. Not of never falling, but of rising every time. Not of having all the answers, but of trusting the process even when it doesn't make sense. You are being prepared for something greater than you can imagine right now. And everything you've been through is part of the preparation. Think about a diamond. It starts as coal, black, ordinary, buried. But under intense pressure, under extreme heat, over long periods of time, that coal transforms into one of the most valuable, most beautiful, most unbreakable substances on earth. The pressure didn't destroy it. The pressure perfected it. The heat didn't damage it. The heat refined it. The time didn't waste it. The time transformed it. You are that diamond in formation. And every bit of pressure you're under, every degree of heat you're feeling, every moment of time that feels wasted, it's all working together to transform you from coal into something priceless. Don't resent the pressure. It's producing your value. Don't resist the heat. It's refining your character. Don't regret the time. It's perfecting your purpose. But here's what you need to understand. Diamonds are formed deep underground. Nobody sees the process. Nobody witnesses the transformation. It happens in darkness, in isolation, in silence. And when that diamond finally surfaces, when it finally sees light, people will marvel at its beauty. They'll admire its clarity. They'll celebrate its worth. But they'll never know the journey. They'll never see the pressure. They'll never understand the process. And that's okay. You're not doing this for their understanding. You're doing this for your freedom. You're not going through this for their applause. You're going through this for your purpose. You're not enduring this season for their validation. You're enduring this season for your transformation. So stop explaining yourself to people who aren't interested in understanding you. Stop defending your process to people who haven't experienced pressure. Stop justifying your decisions to people who are still living in fear. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself. You don't owe anyone an apology for honoring your calling. You don't owe anyone access to a journey they're not equipped to walk. Let me tell you one more story. There was a master archer who trained students from all over the world. One day, a young student came to him frustrated. Master, he said, I've been practicing for months and I still can't hit the target consistently. I watch other students and they make it look so easy. I must not be meant for this. The master handed him a bow and said, come with me. He walked the student deep into the forest until they reached a clearing. In the center was a single tree with a target painted on it. But this target was different. It was higher than any target the student had practiced on. It was smaller. It was farther. The master said, every student I've ever trained started with easy targets, close, large, ground level. They built confidence quickly. They felt successful fast. But you, I gave you the difficult target from the beginning. Do you know why? The student shook his head. The master continued, because I saw something in you that could handle it. I saw potential that didn't need to be babied. I saw strength that needed to be tested. Every arrow you've missed has taught you more than 100 easy hits would have. Every frustration you've felt has developed patience those other students don't have. And when you finally hit this target, when you finally master what I've asked of you, you'll be able to hit any target anywhere. You're not behind. You're being prepared for a level they'll never reach. Do you see it? Your journey is harder because you're being prepared for more. Your process is longer because you're being developed for greater. Your struggle is deeper because your purpose is higher. You're not being punished with difficulty. You're being honored with preparation. And every hard thing you're going through right now is training you for a level of impact that easy journeys could never produce. So stop comparing your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20. Stop measuring your progress by their timeline. Stop judging your process by their success. You're not them. Your assignment is different. Your calling is unique. Your preparation is specific to your purpose. And trying to rush it, trying to skip steps, trying to take shortcuts will only delay what you are meant to become. Embrace where you are. Embrace the difficulty. Embrace the waiting. Embrace the uncertainty. Embrace the loneliness. Embrace it all, because it's all working for you, not against you. It's all preparing you, not punishing you. It's all developing you, not destroying you. And when your time comes, when your season shifts, when your door opens, you'll understand why it had to happen this way. You'll understand why it took so long. You'll understand why it hurt so much. You'll understand why you had to lose what you lost and learn what you learned and grow how you grew. You'll look back and see that every piece was necessary. Every moment was purposeful. Every pain had a reason. But you have to make it to that moment. You have to push through this season. You have to keep going when everything in you wants to quit. You have to keep believing when everything around you says give up. You have to keep walking when every step feels impossible. Because what's waiting for you is worth it. Who you're becoming is worth it. The life you're building is worth it. Your breaking is not your ending. Your breaking is your becoming. And the person you're becoming is so much greater than the person you've been. The life you're building is so much fuller than the life you've known. The impact you're going to make is so much wider than anything you've imagined. So lift your head, wipe your tears, set your face like stone. You are not done. You are not defeated. You are not disqualified. You are being refined. You are being repositioned. You are being prepared. And when you emerge from this season, when you step into your purpose, when you walk into your calling, the world will know that something powerful has arrived. This is your moment. This is your season. This is your time to stop surviving and start thriving, to stop existing and start living, to stop hiding and start rising. Everything you've been through has led you here to this moment, to this message, to this decision. Will you stay in the cage or walk into the jungle? Will you keep performing or start becoming? Will you live for applause or live for purpose? The choice is yours. It's always been yours. And whatever you choose will determine not just your future, but your legacy. You were born for this. The breaking didn't destroy you. It prepared you. Now go build the life you were created for. Go walk the path only you can walk. Go speak the words only you can speak. Go become the person only you can become. If this message spoke to your heart, share it with someone who needs hope today. And if you want more messages that grow your soul, subscribe, because your journey has just begun. The world is waiting for you, not the you that hides, not the you that performs, the real you, the whole you, the unbroken, unshakable, unstoppable you. Now rise